Hello and welcome to White Horse Music TV. My name is Richard Budina and I'm co-owner of this wonderful shop with my lovely wife Michelle Budina, who can't do this with her eyebrows. So today I'm showing some violins to Nadia. Nadia is interested in quarter-size violins and I have 4 of them to show her. I couldn't decide between 4, so I'm just showing all 4 of them. One of them was one that Nadia was especially interested in, which is this one. It's called a Gliga 2 violin. So the Gligas start with the Gliga 3 violin and then go up to this one, next quality of wood workmanship and varnish. And there's a big jump. And the quality of wood is really beautiful. And the varnishing is a huge step up from the Gliga 3. More layers of varnish and finer layers of varnish, which allows the wood to vibrate the way it wants to and make a deeper sound. And I think there's a huge step up from the Gliga 3 to the Gliga 2. And then when you go from the Gliga 2 to the Gliga 1, there is still a step up, but not as big as the difference between the Gliga 3 and the Gliga 2. And so I often will be happier to stock the Gliga 2. It's probably my favorite in terms of the Gligas as far as, you know, where it sits in its price range. So Gliga 2. And then Scott Chow SCV35. They always have a very romantic name, SCV35. The Scott Chow, as you can see up close here, is a little more glossy. I wouldn't say it's a gloss varnish or anything like that, but it's not as matte finish as the Gliga. It's a little bit, you would call that slightly antiqued in that the varnish is different tones of colour, and to the flanks over here it becomes lighter. So they've sort of faded it to where maybe the violin would have been touched over the, you know, the period of time that it existed. But it doesn't have scratches and things like that, so I wouldn't necessarily call this an antiqued violin, but I'd just say the colour is a little bit made to look antique. Gosh, I'm getting pedantic now. All right, one interesting thing about this Scott Chow SCV35 is that it's broader. See, it's definitely down the bottom here, down the bottom of the violin. See, like, so down the bottom across here is broader than the Gliga. It's still the same size in terms of length, and that's what determines the size of the violin, but it's definitely broader, and they do that to create a bigger, deeper sound in the smaller size violins. Once they get up to full-size violins, the violins are fairly much identical to the other, the shape of the Gliga violins. So it's really just trying to make those smaller ones a bit bigger sounding and deeper sounding, and they succeed, I reckon. All right, next up, we have a Struna classroom, and you'll see this is antiqued. There's all sorts of little scratches and things like that. It's just made to look old. And, oh gosh, beautiful back. They do it really, really well. Definitely an antiqued varnish. And they use really beautiful wood on the front there. It's Russian spruce. And they're very, oh yeah, and that wood on the back is beautiful as well. There's a phone, that's all right, we can ignore the phone. It's someone ringing to buy that violin probably. So Nadia better buy that quickly. This next one is a Struna concert violin. So it's got the next level of workmanship and next level of Russian spruce on the front, which is aged for a longer time. So should lend itself to a deeper, stronger sound, but we will find out. It's really beautifully antiqued. These ones are modelled on a French antique violin, which has a little bit of a reddish tinge to it. You see the Struna the Struna classroom is more walnutty coloured. There you go. So, they look like violins, but do they sound like violins? One way to find out is to play them. Yeah, I'll do that. All right, so Nadia, start listening. You can disregard all of that other stuff that I've said. And I will play this Gliga 2 first, and I'll go in the order that I told you about their appearance. All right, let's have a try. Okay, there you go. I would say that does sound like a Gliga, which is not that surprising seeing it's a Gliga, but you know, sometimes Gligas, well, when I think of a Gliga, I think of something that's mellow and warm and relaxed. I would say this has more brightness than the usual Gliga. So it's probably similar in depth, but it's just a little bit more sparkly sounding than the usual Gliga sound. And for me, that's a good thing because I like a violin to be a bit lively. That's my sort of take on things. Okay, so that is violin number 1. Here is Scott Chow SCV 35. Okay, that had a huge sound. You know, Gligas are often, they're considered usually to be sort of like softer, more mellow sounding violin. That previous Gliga, I would say still it's reasonably sort of soft and mellow. Maybe not as mellow as usual, but this Scott Chow, definitely when you play this, you suddenly hear an explosion of depth and strength of sound. It's really, really strong sounding. And I mean, part of that might be to do with the fact that it's a broader sounding violin. But one thing I like about it is, despite being very deep, sometimes violins that are very, very deep become quite muffled. This is still clear, so I really like that, especially down the bottom. Yeah, it's still got lots of clarity, so I really like that. Very, very deep and strong, which are two things that I like. All right, here we go. So this is Struna Classroom Violin. Let's give this one a try. Okay, well, there you go. It's like either side of the Scott Chow, there's a bit of a drop in volume. So the Gliga was a particular volume. Scott Chow was up here in terms of volume. The Struna Classroom, I would say, is sort of like between those two in terms of volume. It does have an interesting quality in that it sounds quite sort of like woody, like the wood is exposed or something like that. It doesn't sound like a plastic violin anyway. It's really hard to describe, but it does have a nice sort of internal core of sort of like a woody flavour. Oh, it's like describing wines, isn't it, really? Don't drink violins, probably bad for you. Don't melt them down and drink them. But yes, I'd say very beautiful. All three of them are very nice and even sounding. There is differences in the volume and of the depth. I'd say the Scott Chow is the deepest, and the Struna Classroom is probably second deepest. Now, Struna Concert, as if we're not confused enough already. All right, let's give this one a try. Back to lots and lots of strength. I'd say sort of it's equal in volume and depth to the Scott Chow. So really big, deep sounding, possibly slightly more mellow, relaxed sounding on the bottom string, but definitely with the depth and strength of the Scott Chow. Maybe what I'll do now is I'll play each of them one after the other, and you can listen out for those things that I have mentioned on my first playthrough, and I won't talk as much in between. That was the Gliga. Now Scott Chow, listen, difference. tone. Struna Classroom. Good volume as well, sort of in between. Now, Struna Concert. Yeah, nice and big and beefy down the bottom there. All right, please comment down below. Oh, even give it a like to the video. You can do that. You can give it a like. It's all right. So please comment down below. Tell Nadia which violin that she should buy. Yeah, I would struggle to choose, but you tell her and she might choose what you choose. Thanks for watching. Bye.